This past few days has been fun. I've heard a lot of crazy things going on. There's a company with no product, no demo, no press, and around 150 people only. One of the richest men who has ever lived decided that there was something that he wanted to do spending the rest of his days. And it wasn't rockets, it wasn't the cloud, it was Prometheus. Dude, first of all, the fact that he raised $12 billion, like I understand he's a multi-billionaire, but it's very challenging in today's market with everything that's going on with AI at such a high volume to be able to raise $12 million dollars in a single round. That to me is nuts.
If
And,
Jeff Bezos came to you and was like, "Hey, you want to invest in this company?" What would you say? You want to
well,
invest?
yeah, I mean, for sure. But dude, it's valued at like 41 bill now already. Like,
Yeah, yeah. They did raise what 18 billion
yeah,
total, and
total, yeah.
with no product, which is crazy. But I mean, it is the track
But
record.
out of that 18, 12 was in a single round. I think that's something to consider.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah, certainly. Well, I think the premise behind Prometheus is pretty interesting, and it's actually, instead of saying, "Oh, check out this milestone AI did," it used past human knowledge to be able to pass the bar, right?
Yeah.
This is totally different.
Yep. Yep. It's like, well, the question becomes what happens when artificial intelligence can actually build
Yeah,
and
this is
not,
the next step.
yeah. And I'm talking like physical, building physical things, not just digital things, not within a
Yeah.
sandbox, not within the confines of a computer. Like this is pretty gnarly stuff.
So let's give them the what Prometheus is going to do, what it's supposed to be able to do when it is done being trained and built.
Okay. Well, I'll let you handle that, Mr. Tech Man.
Okay, so this is a cool step in the right direction, I think, because instead of taking past knowledge, it's creating, it's innovating, it's building something brand new that it doesn't have any history on. So what this product is going to do is basically become the engineer of, right now, aerospace, maybe pharma, maybe something in that division. We'll talk about it. But it's going to create the brand new product that hasn't been done before, and then it's going to have humans test it in an environment, and then the humans will give that feedback back to the AI, back to Prometheus, and then it will infer on what to do next based on that data. So it's not any training data from the past. I mean, it is trained on a lot of that, but it's primarily focusing on just future stuff and how to develop the new innovation or iteration of a product.
Yeah. And just to be clear, it's not a robotics company. I think that's probably the first place people's
Maybe.
head goes. It's like, so they're building robots.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I think it's, from what I read, one of the best lines was that it was a modern version of CAD, for the design software for engineers. If you guys aren't familiar with it, architects, things of that nature, it's a platform that enables them to basically take their expertise and see it in two-dimensional. And I think
Three-dimensional full spin around,
three-dimensional.
like they
Yeah.
actually put in their exact dimensions of the product, the material that they use, and then they build the actual product in like this 3D environment, and
Mhm.
then they're able to give that to the plasma cutter or give that to the machine that's going to cut these pieces out from the metal. So it has basically all the tensile strength and all that stuff included. So it is like a very, very clean model inside of a program.
Which is really, really cool. And so before we dive too deep into that, I do want to give some context to the fact that if you look at the leading AI companies, let's look at OpenAI as an example, nearly $1 trillion company.
You want to
And,
invest?
the fact that you have one lane that artificial intelligence has just been focusing on specifically, and then you've got pretty much Elon Musk who does rockets and robots. I mean, everything else is pretty much like software iterated. I think there's, whether you call it a change or whether you call it a revolution, it's how things are going from where they are now to where we're kind of headed, which is, I get like a dystopian feel. I get a little bit of sci-fi. It's pretty wild. The more that you kind of read into it and go down this rabbit hole,
You want to invest?
technology affords us to do now in this AI world. We're starting, and now with Bezos, we're starting to embody the physical aspect of AI, which I think is so exciting and scary all at the same time. So, I mean, I don't know, like when you think about that, Nate, I immediately think, oh, okay, well, this is going to build the infrastructure that's going to allow for physical development. But is that going to translate to machines being built just like factories are built to create products at scale? Or is it a combination of that and other robots that are programmed? I mean, what are you thinking in terms of like
Yeah.
the
Let's talk
actual
about
physical? What's that?
So yeah, let's talk about the two things there. There's obviously we know that there's this AI bubble where these companies are kind of tossing money back and forth between each other. Anthropic, SpaceX, Nvidia, Micron. It's
Yeah.
literally just 7 companies keeping up the S&P
Oh my
500. But
God, Micron.
this is a
I
little
actually
bit
wanted to touch
different.
on it. Yeah.
Okay, this
Sorry,
one's
go ahead.
slightly different because what Bezos is doing is he's got I think it's $100 billion fund to buy underperforming aerospace facilities across the United States. So that's manufacturers, that's chips, that's the factories that actually do the testing. So he's going to be buying the infrastructure that is going to train this Prometheus AI to be able to have a closed environment, like a very secure, closed, data-driven environment, which now isn't like when Fable comes out and China can train a worse model on the answers of Fable by asking it, 20 billion questions and then ripping off the model, right? So Prometheus is not going to have like that API key. It's going to be a closed environment. You have to pay for it. You'll be using it inside of that. On top of that, it's not trained on past knowledge from humans that have a description of reality. It's trained on the reality that it is set upon and the assumptions it can make based off the stimuli added to that reality. So it's very different in trying to rip this off because the data is very secure and it's only inside of these facilities that Jeff Bezos has, allocated $100 billion to buy up to really make this model something great. Now, again, you think about that, that does have a lot of promise to it, but he said this is not a robotic company, but it's buying the chips, it's creating. He said that Blue Origin might be a great customer case study to test out rockets, right? Well, shoot, if you're gonna build rockets with this thing, robots seems like an easier achievement, right? So again, I don't think that's out of the question. Maybe it's the household, maybe it's the car manufacturer, maybe it's whatever it is. It might not even look like a Tesla Elon Musk robot. It could just be a robot that does something different. But regardless, that is replacing jobs when those things do come in. And I think it is an angle. I mean, it's a much easier achievement to get to.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that he has a co-CEO of this, which is Vic Bajaj, right? Who was Google for their medical arm division of their company. And I can't remember the other company, but he's a part of another one. So pharma might also be where they start because they have quite a bit of experience, not that Bezos couldn't buy anybody that he wants to bring in for information, but they have one of the guys that started 2 of the top companies for engineering for medical technology for devices and whatnot to find cures for cancer and all that kind of stuff. And we have actually seen those work in the past. So I don't think when it comes to a fork in the road, he's really just going to have to sit down and be like, what am I going to do here? What's most profitable for my investors?
Yeah, but I did hear him in an interview saying that he wants to kind of hit a plethora of industry in terms of sectors like manufacturing, aerospace, computing, automotive, medical, electronics, drugs, cancer treatments, things of that nature. I think what he sees in his head is what he saw Amazon, which wasn't like, oh, this isn't just an e-commerce store for buying digital books. Like, no, this is how things are going to be in the future. This is just changing the entire game. I don't know. And I could be just kind of romanticizing it a little bit, but the dude is so smart.
Well, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's part of like the Sherlocking, which we talked about last time, right? Seeing what's working and then kind of taking over that market and adding it to your own marketplace. He also mentioned that he's not going to, technology hasn't removed the jobs. We think there's going to be a human shortage on being able to develop this kind of technology, right? That's what he said. But at the same time, he lays off tens of thousands of employees at Amazon because the technology is so good. So you got to watch that double-edged sword. You got to watch the, the person in the mirror. Sometimes they come off as liars.
Totally. Speaking of liars, and this is just, dude, just give me a 2.5 minute rant. Not even a 2.5 minute rant, just like a 2.5 minute thing. Fable 5, I mean, the amount of bullshit that goes from government interference to a marketing ploy to a potential hoax to drive up numbers and user base and blah, blah, blah. I mean, the most recent thing I've read is that they are trying to win back all of the users they lost when they increased the price and basically shot down the usage window, shrunk the usage window down. And that combined with Opus 4.8 versus 4.6 versus what have you, and the issues that happened there with 4.7. So I'm like, okay, so is this just like a grand fucking thing to get back users? But at the same time, I used Fable 5 for like 5 days and I one-shotted like 4 different things. with relative ease, with very little, no additional skills installed. I mean, I built an app, I built a site that has an app inside of it. I don't know. Is it more powerful? I definitely think it was more powerful to the extent where they just built so much demand. Like, because if you think about it, hey, we're going to give you 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, you can decide to use it per usage basis, per token basis, or you don't have to use it at all. And then halfway through the 14 days, I think it was like day 6, 7, I don't remember, they just decided to pull it.
Well, did you watch that video Eric came out with? It's on Whozy.ai. That was a pretty good explainer. Anthropic's got their IPO coming up. If the mall gets ripped off,
alluding to that. Yeah.
What are they going to release as getting people riled up for this big IPO they're trying to accomplish? And Fable, they dumped billions of dollars into it. And if it gets ripped off, then what, another 6 months to actually train another model that they can't gate from anybody taking the knowledge from? Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work.
And I just read yesterday that they were in, not a guarantee, but somebody leaked saying that they were going to release it within the next coming days, re-release it.
Well, I mean, I hope so. It's the climate of the world right now is tough, right?
Yeah.
We just had a peace deal with Iran for the Strait because we need oil. We're going to run out in 4 weeks. So that thing basically had to be done. And if this AI bubble ends up popping anytime in the next 6 months, it's going to cause like a global crash to the economy, right? Or something where enough people are going to pull out enough money to try and stay alive.
You really think it will pop?
The bubble? Well, I mean, I haven't seen, in the research that I've done, I haven't seen where so few companies that are worth so much have so little revenue. In the simplest terms, right?
Huge investments, sky high valuations,
a
lot on spending, not much coming back in.
Right.
Otherwise not there. I get that. Yeah.
I mean, for a company to be evaluated at that much, typically their EBITDA has to be quite a bit higher than what it sits at right now. So,
yeah,
I could just be diving into the conspiracy videos, but I was trying to do research.
I mean, listen, there's truth to everything. You just got to find it, and then just use your intelligence to be able to assimilate it. Okay, so here's what's interesting. So let's kind of touch on Prometheus a little bit. I don't want to drag this on. This is going to be a short episode, but if we look at what's happening in the lay of the land right now in terms of like robotic companies that are producing these machines, Prometheus, I think, is trying to build the mind, which is the thing that runs it all. Because you're saying earlier, like, it doesn't have to be like a Tesla bot. Like, it could literally be like a rectangle with arms or wheels. It doesn't matter. It's a machine that is programmed to do something far more efficiently than we've been doing it before. But you have to have the brain that engineers all of these things. Otherwise, what ends up happening is that you're pretty much reselling more of the same of what is already in the marketplace. So, he called it the most sophisticated, creative thing human beings know how to make. And he wants to basically take that and combined with the best engineers on Earth and compress it into this Prometheus mind, which I think is interesting. He wants to build this dream loop that runs 10 to 100 times faster than...
Exactly. I mean, I thought about it like this. So back to like Rockefeller and the railroads, right? If you came out with a product, you'd have to go through Rockefeller to build the product with the oil to put on the railroads to send it somewhere. So there's always a piece of the pie going to those guys. And then Bezos is going to sell Prometheus when it's done being tested to all these robotic companies, all these other technology companies that want to have this head of engineer. And then he's going to take a piece of the pie for everything that they built. So everything's going to run through, just like the railroads, run through Bezos' company and Prometheus. I think it's a really great idea. I don't know if I like having Bezos as the guy in charge of it, but it's definitely has a lot of potential to make a lot of money for the guy, a lot more money for the guy.
Yeah. Do you think, yeah, no, I'm with you. I see the potential. God, I watch so many dystopian shows and films that my brain just goes in weird directions, but I see the potential because you're speeding up the invention loop. You're allowing the build from A to Z to just happen almost instantaneously. So engineers can go from idea to finished product extremely fast. Get that. You're also building an artificial general engineer that can handle most of the complex design stuff, the manufacturing work, the grunt work, if you want to call it. And then to focus on things like jet engines and chips and the brain and all these different like medical devices, aerospace, all these different industries. Like, I see it as a reseller more than anything. Like, okay, like, I'm sorry, Like he's patenting, because it's not really what he's building. I don't think isn't going to be replicatable. I think you can replicate it. I think what he's going to build and then he's going to patent it or something somewhere along those lines. Like this IP is going to be patented so that you were saying like other companies can come and pay a small fee to be able to use it within their infrastructure, within their organization, for their products, for their whatever. Do you see it like that, or do you see
No, I
more of
see it
like?
more as like a monopoly. I mean, if the guy's gonna put $100 billion
I mean, that
buy
kind of
all
is
this
a
infrastructure,
monopoly.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, you would have to have every other company that's of the companies of the same companies that he's buying team up and say, hey, we're going to share our own data with each other to help, because it would cost too much money for any other company to come in here and do the same thing Bezos is doing. There's very few people in the world that can actually do what he's doing, just money wise, just buying. So yeah, there would have to be like they'd have to team up to even compete with him if they wanted to, or they just use his product because the demand is there for it and they don't have the capital to be able to do it themselves.
And it's messy and expensive because if you think about it, like if you're trying to teach a model to design a jet engine, you need data from real jet engines. Although, and real factories, real failures,
And
like
all of
all
the
those
actual
things.
testing they're going to be doing, right? So
I
they're going to
know.
build this design. They're going to have guys, is it going to combust at 50,000 feet in the air? Is it going to fail? Is it going to crack? Is it, if it hits a goose, is it going to break? There's all of these different little things that could happen up in the air when it's actually deployed, that the testing information is going to have to come back, and they're going to have all their sensors on there and relay all that data right back into it, probably real time, to give it feedback immediately at the speed it's going, at the altitude it's traveling, the wind density, all of that stuff, right? Really hard to copy. So
It
the
is. There's
barrier
no
to
like,
entry might not even need a patent. It might just be the simulations ran and the capital needed to buy.
yeah, because there's no internet of factory data to scrape. Like that doesn't exist. So what are you going to do? Like you build a fake factory inside of a computer and then train the AI in there, and then the simulation is built around. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know. My brain, I just can't. All right, so let's talk about what this looks like in terms of labor for the people that are interested. Because when you think about AI that does the work of engineers, actual people, there's an obvious fear of job security. I mean, there's already a fear of job security with AI, and just as a civilization. I mean, when technology advances, there's always going to be some room for like feeling that I'm going to have doubt in my capabilities to be able to provide whatever. There's always going to be some form of job security because you just got to keep leveling up with civilization. Otherwise, you just stay where you are. So, what he said was that this will not cause mass unemployment. He says it will cause something he calls labor scarcity, which is a nice, pretty way of saying it. But a world where there is this, I'm quoting him here, a world where there is so much to build that we run out of humans to do it. More demand for people, not less. That's a
Well,
pretty
yeah, I
way
mean,
of
I
putting
say the
something,
things that people want to hear too when I'm trying to get something done. You want to know?
right?
I mean, yeah, we've seen it already. Like the junior devs don't have the skill set as the senior devs, so they have this atrophy of not being in the workplace and the environment of problem solving for those 10 years. So when they try to get, or they get hired for a senior level position, they lack the experience and the knowledge because everybody laid off the junior devs because AI was doing their job for them. But Bezos is different, especially in his training aspect. He says the thing where it's like, if two medium pizzas can't feed everybody that's on that team, we're going to divide up the team. So it keeps the team small. He keeps the people involved and the training going. And that's what he's doing. All the jobs that he's laid off were honestly like the factory workers, right? Because robots were doing that kind of stuff. But it wasn't any of the like true engineers, or the majority of them weren't like true engineers or junior engineers training to take over those jobs. So he does have like the game plan laid out to where he's not going to run low on people that he needs. But that doesn't mean that there's going to be a human scarcity for jobs. I mean, maybe they'll replace this as a test dummies in his rocket ships when he launches them into space. Get some real human feedback on the damage done. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the engineer that took 20 years to build something finds out that the model now can do 80% of what he was able to do that took him 2 decades, half of his lifetime, quarter of his lifetime. There's those things that are just like, ooh.
Yeah. But it's training on that skill, right? It's training on that
It
critical
is.
thinking and that
It is.
logic that
Yeah.
that engineer has from the experience, the angles they approach stuff from.
Yeah. So let's shed some light to what I think there's genuine positive impact here. I think that those that think technology is scary are always going to think and always going to live in fear, and they're always going to be in a mindset of scarcity, right? It's just like woe is me. The world happens to me, not for me. That kind of mentality. But the thing I think you should consider is that two things can be true at once. There can be scarcity in the world due to technology advancing, and more opportunity at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's been the trend over the last 200 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you think generative AI or physical AI is going to be more impactful in the next 20 years? Out of curiosity.
Generative, for sure. I think screen comes before like physical things. Like my screen's obviously going to influence me more than.
Yeah, interesting. Very cool. Okay, I wouldn't have thought that. I honestly thought you were going to go for the latter there. Okay, let's say, what do you think the question nobody is asking about what they should be in this AI era? Like for those that are not in the world of artificial intelligence, but they are forced to become part of its existence or vice versa. What do you think they should be asking themselves?
I think the responsibility of the liability for who takes responsibility when something goes wrong with it. It's something AI developed, right? You're in a Tesla, it's speeding, you get the ticket, Tesla doesn't.
Hmm.
So that kind of thing. Was it the space race where they kind of threw something together to launch up there and hope it worked, or are they actually going to do their due diligence to make sure that this has like a very low risk to reward ratio?
Man, for most of our history, the bottleneck from humanity was that we could not fulfill 100% of our imagination. Like, I don't think, like, if you take Galileo, Leonardo da Vinci, take some of the greatest minds in history. And if you're, especially the creative minds of history, engineers, artists, whatever, musicians, you think that if they had the capability that we're going to have and what we do have now, but especially like within the next 20 years, like just imagine, like you literally could bring your dream into reality. Like you could, like, I hate using this word. I don't hate it, but it's used in the wrong vernacular, but to manifest reality. You could literally manifest it because of the technology that exists. And so
Yeah,
I
I think it's
go
got
ahead.
an inverse relationship with AI, man. I think we talk about the social dilemma and the depression that happens because of it. And Jim
Right.
Carrey comes out and he says, what depression is the lack of expression. So when you're not being creative and you're not getting out there and doing the things that you love to do and being expressive, that's when depression sets in because you're scrolling on your phone so much, and AI doesn't really help that. So that creative in everybody gets crushed,
Yeah.
day after day after day after day.
Yeah.
That imposter syndrome, it gets after you
It's
quick.
real. I think that's more social media than AI as a whole. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, I spend like collectively across all channels of social media, I don't think I spend more than 7 to 10 minutes a day. And eventually it'll be zero. And what I notice is like even just the family, friends that are around me that are on it, and I'm like, do you realize how addicted you are to just doing this? I'm like that. When I notice myself doing it, like I'll catch myself in that loop. I'm like, what the? And I'll literally just put my phone down. I will go outside. I will go do something completely different. Not because I'm better. It's because I don't want to get stuck in that loop. And it's that's what I think causes
I
depression.
mean, I think it's on top of that too, is like the mental atrophy of, building. You're using AI to build things for yourself.
Yeah.
You have laziness. It's like the maps we talked about. You got it on your phones, you forget how to do directions. Your brain's not snapping. It's not sending those things back and forth. So it just kind of sunsets that side of your brain, and you lose traction.
Yeah, I think there's definitely ways, and I don't want to like linger on this, but there's definitely ways to mitigate some of that stuff. Like, for me, having, my best friend lately has been Whisper Flow. I don't know I'm sure you've used it, but I have it attached to my computer and my phone, and I just talk to AI and I try to communicate verbally in a way that I'm like talking to you, man, or I'm talking to Eric, or I'm talking to somebody, and I'm just floating ideas like, what do you think about this? I was talking about this, and this is interesting, and having it talk back to me because I installed a Jarvis sound, whatever, through 11 Labs because I'm annoying like that. And I want actually to get the voice of, you ever seen Batman Begins?
Hmm.
The what is his name? The British actor, the old man.
But
Some
yeah,
some
I know who you're
people
talking
just
about.
wants to see the world burn. The guy
Yeah,
that says that line?
yeah,
I want his voice.
yeah.
He's freaking awesome. Or Morgan Freeman. Anyways, we're getting off subject here. So I think that kind of helps the monotony, right? It's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. Like you need interaction with human beings. You need to go do things, but at least it could help mitigate slightly. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we wrap this up?
You have an idea on what the safest job is going to be in 5 years, 10 years?
Dude, I couldn't even guess. No idea. Literally none. Yeah, I would be so wrong even if I did guess. Not the slightest clue. What I can say though is as long as you're leveling up your skills as technology advances, you'll be in a far better position than if you didn't. That I can say with certainty. Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you for today. Thanks, everybody. Check us out all over the interwebs at HeyHoosie or at Hoosie.ai. Reach out to us if you need us. I think we've been doing Substack pretty regularly, Nate. So if you guys are curious, we're building a community on Substack. We submit our written format of the podcast and some other good stuff. And we have a community wall where we want to start interacting with you guys there, as well as our school, if you guys are interested. So hit us up, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.